A performance where you guys were really able to open up the passing game, and Von Pearson had a really big game. Just what was South Carolina doing that y'all were able to have that success in the pass game?
Well, they did a nice job of mixing it up. They blitzed us a little bit in the first half. I'd say every other first or second down, and then they'd play cover two. So they were mixing it up, and I thought that our coaches put together a really good plan to handle cover one and cover two, and so that opened some guys up, and then the players did a great job of executing it. So, I thought it was good execution from the offensive standpoint. The line protecting and quarterback receivers executing.
Like you guys got off to a fast start, but maybe weren't able to kind of maintain that. What changed after the first two drives?
I don't know. I mean, everybody expects you to score on every drive, right? And we expect to score on every drive, but it doesn't happen, and you got to give them credit too. And I thought that we were being able to mix some things up, and we caught them in some blitzes, and we had some good stuff called, and then they caught us a little bit. So, I just thought it was a back and forth game of I was trying to guess a little bit what they were going to do, and they were guessing what we were going to do, and so. And then we had some things execution-wise where we didn't do a really good job of cutting off on the backside of some of our runs where we could have big runs and stuff. So, it's a good football game.
Maybe adding on to that, just the run game in general, what kind of changed from first half to second half? You guys ended up, I think, 17 yards.
Nothing. I guess I decided really not to run Josh as much in the second half, and so we stayed away from that a little bit. And when you have that ability to do both with the back and the quarterback, that's hard on the defense, And so I just went to basically running our backs a lot more in the second half, and then I give them credit for they were blitzing a lot. In the first half it was every other first or second down, and then in the second half it was really consistent on early downs, and they blitzed us down the red zone. We hit them on the screen pass, we caught them in that, and so it was just a little bit more of a blitz fest in the second half.
Mike,
was that
you didn't run Josh as much in the second half? Was that because you had the lead? Was that because he was banged up a little bit? What caused you to kind of get away from that point?
Well, I'm not going to talk about injuries or anything like that. Butch always talks about injuries and whether he did or he didn't have one. But it was just a decision I made at that time, and and then as the game got closer, I was going to do it more, but we ended up being okay. So
Josh said that after the game that they kind of lost their edge a little bit as players. I think he deemed it taking their foot off the pedal or off the gas. When you watch the tape, did you get a sense that maybe the first couple drives came so easy that they lost their edge a little dab, or do you think that's overblown?
Well, I think that's number one. From my standpoint, that's really hard to judge because I'm up there like you in the press box and you don't have any idea. I mean, you're so far away. And then when you watch the film, guess what? You're far away. You're not there, So, it's hard to tell. I don't know. But that's not what we want, and that's not what we're about. And so, I really think that we've learned from that, and we were fortunate to win and beat them. And so, you learn from things like that.
Mike, Josh has put the ball on the ground a couple of times recently. Is that kind of the risk reward you have when a quarterback runs the ball, or is that technique that you're seeing that he's not doing that correctly? Or
I think it's a good question, a fair question too. The one was just a clean hit. I mean, we went back and reviewed it. He's got the ball just like we teach about chinning it up here, and it's high and tight. And I mean, the guy just made a great hit on the ball, and so you give them that credit that way. And then the other one, he was just a little bit loose with, and that's something we really stressed with him and putting through drills today with. In fact, ball security. He's got to do a better job all the time with it. But the one time was. You give credit to them.
Mike, you guys, I think, have scored 5 first drives of the game, and I think only punted once this season. Why do you think you guys have been so good? And obviously, those are plays that are scripted. So why do you think you guys have been so effective on those scripted plays?
We obviously practice everything that we do in the game. We practice it. There's not too many things we all of a sudden at halftime say we're going to do this, and occasionally we do, but not a lot. And so when you script, what we do is we put together, the first basically 10 first or second down plays. And then we have our third downs already scripted out of what's going to be our first, third, and 11 plus, what's going to be our first, third, and 7, 10, things like that. So we script that out, and then we actually practice that script beforehand. So, you know, we get in the flow. Our guys know right now what the first play is, second play, third play. I mean, they know what's coming all the time. And I just think that's an advantage that way. Now, you get past those, I mean, they're not going to remember what play 25 is and 30, and you know what I mean? So now you're calling it, and you're going, and you know, so I just think a little bit of it is familiarity a little bit, and practicing that right before the game, you know, like the day before, just them knowing what we're going to do, and you know, we've been successful that way.
You guys have been more productive in the first quarter and the second quarter than, I guess, in the second half. Do you think there's been a reason? I know you guys had some leads in some of those games that were kind of lopsided, but in some of the close games, it's not, production maybe hasn't been the same in the second half. What do you think that's been?
Well, I think teams in the second half have come out and said, hey, we're going to blitz you to try to stop you. And I think that's a credit to us in that they don't feel like they can sit there, you know, and play base defenses and stuff. And so, you know, that's now when they blitz, it puts everybody in a one-on-one situation. When they don't blitz, like we get combination blocks, like two guys on one coming off late on the linebacker or whatever. So we've got the advantage that way. Now when they blitz us, we're in a one-on-one situation. One missed block, one bad angle, whatever can result in a bad play. So it just creates a little bit of, you know, inconsistency really.
Mike, what's going into the Von Pearson's improvement, I guess, or statistical improvement anyway, the past few weeks? I know a lot of people said he would kind of get his footing as the season progressed and got back into it. Is that all it is?
I don't know if I could really answer that question. I think that, you know, when you call a pass, you really don't know where the ball's going to go. I mean, until you all of a sudden you see the coverage and then you still don't know exactly where the ball will go. You know what the progression of the quarterback is and stuff. So it's not like all of a sudden we've said, hey, we're going to throw the ball to Vaughn. You know what I mean? It's just happened that way. It's just like, you know, it's happened that Josh Malone was our leading receiver, I think, 2 or 3 games ago. So it's just happened, really. And so it's not been by design where we've all of a sudden said, hey, we're going to get Vaughn all the catches this game. That doesn't happen that way. And, you know, so it's just happened. And we're glad that it has because he, you know, he's very deserving. He's been working hard. He's been patient when he hadn't gotten the ball. He hadn't said a word. And so, you know, it's been good for him to do that.
So have you noticed any, I guess, difference in him? Because you're talking about a guy in camp who shows up, you know, right back into the program right before camp starts, and there's obviously some rust there. And have you seen a change in him between that point and now? It's his progression, maybe?
I just think that, you know, it's like any football player. When you start out, you're not going to be as good early as you are late because of all the reps and you know, all the coaching that he's getting from Coach Zani. So I just think that, you know, it's like any player, you know, and he was away from it a little bit, so you know, that didn't help either. So I just think he's back into a routine now, and he's into it. So
what did you guys like about what you did on 3rd and longs passing wise? Obviously, Josh converted a good many of those.
Yeah, we've been pretty good on 3rd downs this year, and we've been good on 3rd and long, which is, you know, a low percentage usually of success. And I think that number one, our receivers are doing a good job of getting open versus man coverage. Like Josh Smith did a great job on that one. On the our press box side or our team side, that one route one-on-one, yeah, that was basically like a comeback. Did a nice job because the guy was all over him, and Josh Dobbs did a good job of throwing. So I just think that we've had some really good stuff for our guys to execute, and they've done a great job of executing it too.
I know you can't make too many assumptions, but what would it mean to get Quentin Dormady some throws and some live significant action this weekend?
Sure. I mean, you know, you want all your players to play, and so, you know.
For a quarterback in particular, though, is that extra valuable, I guess?
Without a doubt. I mean, you want all your players to play, and you know, it doesn't matter if it's a lineman or a receiver or anybody that hadn't had a lot of reps. You want to get them reps. So, but you know, the main thing is we've got to go in and, you know, win this football game. That's the number one thing we've got to do.
Going back to the 3rd and longs, you said you scripted the 3rd down. Do you think that
Saturday, you can't run. So at this point in the season, as much as you'd like to work fundamentals,